Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Coming to you from the west coast of Canada, Vancouver Island. I'm your host today, Erin Birch, a Digital Mentors coach and community member. So today I want to talk about something that can be absolutely debilitating, can really affect all areas of your life. And especially, if you're fairly new to building your own business, being in the online space, all of that, we tend to overthink. So today we're going to talk about how to stop the overthinking, how to get control of your thoughts. Okay. So today I have 8 highly effective strategies that you can use starting today to deal with the overthinking. So people who it's pretty normal, like if you start something big, like your own home business, right? And you don't have any marketing experience or whatever, it's pretty normal that you would feel a little bit overwhelmed. It's pretty normal that if you started a new job, you'd feel a little bit overwhelmed. It's pretty normal that suddenly you have a baby, not suddenly, things like that don't happen suddenly, but you now have a baby at home and it's a little overwhelming, right? You're overthinking. Notice how I use the word overwhelm. Overwhelm and overthinking come hand in hand, right? So it's pretty normal that when you've had some change in your life and you're having to shift your thinking and now think about different things, it's pretty normal that you get into a pattern of overthinking. Totally normal. What is not I wouldn't use the word normal. What is not good is if you are a habitual overthinker, meaning your thoughts are running around in your head and you cannot slow them down. You're having too many thoughts that interrupt your life, right? You're overthinking every single little detail and it goes over and over and over. I tend to do this at night when I should be sleeping. I'll think about the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And it gets into like this thought loop that you can't stop. Okay. So that's something I'm working really hard on. So I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do. But so this is going to work for you if you tend to overthink at times, or if you're a habitual overthinker, because this can cause anxiety. This can cause so much unwanted stress. This can manifest physically. So anxiety, perfectionism, and overthinking tend to go hand in hand. Just logical, right? But this can also cause physical manifestations, meaning ulcers, skin rashes. Like, I'm not going to go into all the things that can cause. So you have to learn how to deal with the overthinking. So I'm going to give you some strategies on how to do that today. Okay. So let's dive in. First thing you want to do is when you realize, oh my God, I am so overthinking right now, you want to do a pattern interrupt. Interrupt that pattern of overthinking. So how do you interrupt that? You change your focus. Get up. If you're like sitting and working and you're like, oh my God, I'm overthinking. I have to learn this and I have to learn this and I have to do this and I have to do this. Get up and change your focus. One thing that works incredibly well, and there's a lot of science behind this, is like put on your favorite music and dance. Change your physical state. It is the fastest way to change your mental state, to change your physical state. Dance. Do the Superman pose. That actually changes your neurology. Okay. What else can you do to interrupt that thinking? Go have a shower. This is something I will do. Of course, you can't do this if you're at a job. Oh, I'm going to go have a shower. I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe there's showers there. But I do this. If I start doing the overthinking, feeling a little overwhelmed kind of thing, I'll go have a shower. If I'm really trying to work something out, sometimes I'll have 3 showers in a day for different reasons. A, you're changing your focus. B, you're in hot water, which actually helps put you in a state of meditation, right? What else can you do to change your focus? Meditate. Spend a couple minutes trying to calm your thoughts. Okay. So just changing your focus. Go make a cup of coffee. Go make a cup of tea. Go walk around. Take your shoes off. Put your bare feet on the ground. This is called grounding. There's a lot of science behind this as well. And there's nothing wrong. I know we're going into winter time, but there's nothing wrong with being cold. A lot of science behind that now, about all the people who do the cold showers and the ice dunking and all of that. A lot of science behind that. Okay. So change your focus. You're nipping it in the bud. You're also training your mind that we're not going to put up with this overthinking BS. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to change our focus, and you're actually training your brain not to go into the overthinking mode. Okay. So next one, schedule overthinking time. Have you ever thought about doing this? Schedule overthinking time. I actually now do this. Something happened in my life that I needed to kind of mentally process. So I decided to double up. I decided to schedule that time. I am not thinking about this right now. I will think about this at 4 p.m. when I go for a hike in the woods. I will overthink it at that time. I will give myself the time to overthink it a little bit and feel the emotions, allow myself to feel it, and then process it. So something that probably would have affected me for months, maybe even years, I can deal with at that time, right? By the time I came down from the mountain, I had processed it and it's gone. I am no longer overthinking that issue. Okay. So schedule overthinking time. Tell yourself, sometimes you have to talk to yourself, right? We're not going to overthink this thing right now. We're going to think about it at 3:30 when I can have a coffee break or whatever. When the, kids are at soccer practice, now is when I'm going to overthink it. Not before then, not after then, just during that time. I go and deal with it. Schedule overthinking time. Okay? It works. Next one, express your thoughts. Allow yourself to feel the emotion, right? Like what's really going on there. Allow yourself to express yourself. And then you want to question your own overthinking. Like all those thoughts that are racing through your head, question them. Have a conversation with yourself. All this stuff that I'm ruminating on, is it even true? Is it even true? Because generally speaking, the overthinking is worry, right? So now you're making stuff up in your head that chances are stuff that's not even going to happen. So you want to question yourself, analyze what you're thinking, and ask if it's even true or you're just making stuff up, making extra stress up in your head. Because our minds will play tricks on us, right? So ask yourself the likelihood of that actually happening. So essentially, you're looking for evidence if it's true, right? So you're overthinking something and then ask yourself, how likely is this to happen? How likely is it to play out this way? And look for evidence for your thoughts to be true. And you're going to realize how you're just kind of making stuff up a lot of the time, right? And then look for evidence of it not being true. So sometimes I would overthink working on my business, thinking I had to be a total grinder and work 18 hours a day. I was afraid to take my foot off the gas pedal because what if it all crumbles? All this time and hard work and effort I've put into getting where I am. What if it all crumbles beneath me and I lose everything and I have to live in the street? I used to go, seriously, like this goes back to childhood. So you want to ask yourself, what is the likelihood of that even happening? Have I ever lived in the street before? No. Have I always looked after myself and my needs financially? Yes. So what is the likelihood of that happening today? pretty darn slim. So stop overthinking about how you're potentially going to lose everything. See where I'm going with this? So you got to have a heart-to-heart conversation with that part of you that is overthinking. Okay? Because we're all made up of parts. It's a part of you that is doing the overthinking. The other part of you, the more rational side of you, needs to have a conversation with the part of you that's overthinking. And maybe tell it to shut the heck up once in a while. It's okay. We're okay. We've got this. Just relax. You got to have a conversation with yourself. Don't feel weird about it. Okay? So, next one, get present. We tend to overthink because we're allowing our past to get in the way of our thinking. Remember that time when, right? You're thinking of all the past events, right? Or you're thinking of the future. So anxiety is, well, there's many reasons for anxiety, but one of them is because you're stuck thinking about the future. Depression comes from when you're stuck thinking about the past, right? So getting present. Stop stressing and overthinking about what could happen in the future, because you can't do too much about. You don't want to be present. You want to be dealing with what is happening in the present. That's how you can create the future that you desire, is by being really present and dealing with the stuff right now. Being stuck in the past or being stuck in your future means you're not present. This was my big thing. I was always living in the past or the future. Therefore, there wasn't really enough energy left to be present. So this is one thing I worked really, really hard on. All the personal development I've done has allowed me to totally deal with the past. I rarely, the only time I go into my past now is when they're good memories that I want to relive, that I choose to relive, that I choose to re-experience. The crap from my past, like regret and all this kind of stuff, rarely comes up. And if it does, I now know how to deal with it within seconds. I choose to not live in my past, because that'll cause you to overthink in the present and not allow yourself to be present, to be with your loved ones. Right? How are you present? How can you be present if you're with your loved ones if you're stuck ruminating about things in the past and feeling anxiety about things in the future? Be present. Do what you need to do to be present. Next one, get a hobby. What is something that you're super passionate about? Whether it be learning a new thing, a new topic, whether it be painting, whether it be yoga, whether it be whatever, choose a hobby, something that you're really, really passionate about, and do it. Make that a part of your life. And here's the thing too. Let's just say you're sitting down to work on your business, you're creating this new course or program or whatever the heck you're doing, doesn't really matter. And you're overthinking, or even if it's you're overthinking because you just had an argument with someone and now you're overthinking, right? Shift your focus to that hobby that you're really passionate about. Plan some time when you're going to indulge in that hobby, right? Maybe it can't be today, but maybe it can be tomorrow in the evening. So now you schedule a time to spend on that hobby. And here's the thing. When you're doing something you love, it takes the focus off what you're overthinking about, right? Like if I go out into the woods, this is a time where normally, like, okay, that one time I kind of scheduled that time to overthink and mentally process something. But 99.999% of the time, I'm out in the woods. I'm not thinking about all the little details. I'm looking at the trees. I'm feeling the breeze. Oh my gosh, there's a deer, right? All that kind of stuff. Whatever takes your mind off it and allows you to give focus to something else. Okay. So is that on my list here? Well, let's talk about that one. Getting out into nature. Getting out into nature. Schedule time to do that. Did you know that the trees emit I wouldn't call it a chemical, a natural substance that affects your mind, that affects your brain? Again, this is science. This is not woo woo. This isn't the, go hug a tree and you'll feel better. Well, there's science behind that. Spending, what was it, 2 hours every 2 weeks absolutely changes the way your brain works. I can't remember the name of the substance. It was like 35 letters long, but it started with the word. I remember the first part of the word because it's a tree, cypress. It was like cypress, blah, 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 blah. And it's this compound that the trees emit, and we humans breathe it in, take it in, and it affects our neurology. It has a calming effect. Did you know that? Did you know that? Get out into nature regularly. I know this about myself. If I haven't been out for a hike for like 3 days, I feel the need. I feel the need. I will start to get stressed and depressed and a little anxious and overthinking. It's like, I need to get outside and be with the trees. And it doesn't have to be a 4-hour hike kind of thing. Do you have some trees where you live? Could you go to a park? Can you walk to a park? Can you drive to a park? Can you drive to the ocean side? Can you get out into nature? And if you live in a big city and you're like, yeah, well, the nearest park is 2 hours away or what have you, get outside and walk. Just get outside and walk. Most cities have big parks too, right? Do what you got to do. So, next one is stop putting stuff off. I tend to do this one. Putting something off that you know you need to deal with will cause overthinking. And now you're spending all this time thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, when you could have just gotten it done and no longer have to think about it. Now that's logical, is it not? Get the stuff done that you've been putting off, so you no longer have to think and overthink it. Get her done. Next one, you got to find the reason for your overthinking. Okay, this is going a little bit deeper now. It isn't always, or if you're a habitual overthinker, right? You do this, it's just part of your thought pattern, the way your brain works. You have to figure out the reason for that if you really want to deal with it. Is it just because you have a lot on your plate? Is it? Or does this go back to your past? Because if it's a pattern, you've done this most of your life, then this stems from your childhood. Okay? This stems from your childhood. This is some stress, some trauma, whatever, from your childhood. The reason goes all the way back to your childhood. So this means you need to get at the root cause and deal with that so that you can stop overthinking in your present. Just dealing with it in the present does not get rid of the root cause, the real reason you're a habitual overthinker. Okay? It's kind of like people who have anxiety or depression. Sometimes that's a chemical thing. I am not saying, don't do pharmaceuticals if it's really helping you. But the thing is you have to get at the root cause of the reason, right? Just like, I don't know, you have pain in your stomach. Well, taking meds to help you with the pain isn't getting at the root cause, is it? What's the root cause of the stomach pain in the first place? You got to deal with that. And it might actually be emotional, that pain in your stomach. It could be. So getting at the root cause of what is causing you issues in life. They now say that a huge percentage of things, physical things that you feel, are caused by repressed memories and emotions. Did you know that? So getting at the root cause is critical. Okay, that's a whole That's a therapy session, so I'm not going to go into that right now. But you have to get at the root cause, or you'll forever be plagued with the same problem, right? Again, logic. Next one, last one, reframe. Reframe. If you're overthinking, reframe it. Change your perspective on the overthinking, right? Can you have a serious conversation with yourself and go, okay, why am I overthinking this? Again, you're looking for the reason, right? But you can reframe it and go, right, it's because this is new for me. That's why I'm overthinking, because this is something new. I'm learning new things. Okay, that makes sense. This would be a normal reaction. Okay, cool. I got this. Woo! Yay! I'm learning new things. Yay! I'm thrilled I'm overthinking, because it means I'm on to something big. I'm doing something big. I'm learning so many new things. So you flip it from being held hostage by your overthinking to almost appreciating it, right? We got this. We got this. Have some faith in yourself. If you're doing something new, of course you're going to overthink it a little bit. But it's when it's a habitual thing for you that really becomes an issue, because it can be debilitating. It can kind of rule your life, right? You stop sleeping, you're always in a state of anxiety. The sympathetic nervous system kicks in. You're in a state of fight, flight, or freeze all the time, which can cause physical manifestations of that stress. Not good. So you got to deal with it. And let's be real, sometimes we just need to toughen up. Toughen up. Have a serious conversation with yourself, because 85 to 90% of our thoughts are the same as they were the day before. So if you don't deal with those thought patterns, those thoughts, it's just going to continue. It will just continue. You got to get at the root cause. I'm a big believer in getting to the root cause of everything. We've become a society that masks the symptoms of the root cause. That's not really dealing with the cause, is it? No, it's masking it. So getting at the root cause. Yeah. And there you go. I hope those help you. So I'll quickly just reiterate them. 1, interrupt. Interrupt your overthinking. Refocus. Start focusing on something else. Interrupt that pattern, right? Next one, schedule overthinking time. Have a serious talk with yourself. We're not thinking about this right now. We are going to think about this from 4 to 5. While I'm prepping for dinner, that's going to be our time to overthink. So you're changing the way your brain works by doing this, right? You're interrupting that pattern. Next one, express your thoughts and then question them. Question your own thoughts. Am I overthinking this? Am I exaggerating? Am I making exaggerations? Oh my God, yeah. That's like so unlikely to happen. I'm totally exaggerating the worst case scenario here. Yeah, let's not go there. It's funny how the human brain oftentimes just goes right to the worst case scenario. The scenario that's probably unlikely to ever happen, yet we think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it. It's crazy what we do to ourselves, right? And you're causing all this unnecessary anxiety. Next one, get present. Do what you need to do to get present. Get out of your past. Get out of worrying about the future and become present. Be in the present moment. Meditate. Do yoga. Do some breathing exercises. Get present. Reshift your focus. One thing you can do, this is actually, again, this is science. We call it using your peripheral vision. So it's where you expand your awareness, your vision, what you can see. So oftentimes we get so focused on what is just directly in front of us. If you make a conscious effort to start, yes, looking in front of you like I'm doing right now, but also using your peripheral vision. I'm doing it right now. I'm looking forward, but I'm also seeing more. I'm more aware of what's in my peripheral vision, the stuff out here, right to the sides. And that's helping you refocus. Takes your mind off the thing right now that you're overthinking. Okay, so that's something you can do for yourself. Another exercise. Find a hobby that you're passionate about, a hobby that lights you on fire when you're doing it, and start doing that. And you might be going, but I have a full-time job and I commute and I have kids and I have a house to look after, all that kind of stuff. The minute, I want you to be aware of when you go, yeah, but. Because as long as you allow yourself to say, yeah, but, that's your excuse. Whatever words come next, you're using as an excuse. Right? If you only have time to do your hobby for an hour on a Sunday, then so be it. But make time to do what lights your soul on fire. You have to. You have to. You deserve that. You explain to your family, this is my time to do what, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? I need to do this for my own sanity. You gotta let me do this. Have a serious talk with your family. So watch your language. You know, if you ever find yourself going, yeah, but whatever comes next, you're allowing yourself to use that as an excuse. And if you're saying to yourself, it's not an excuse, it's a reason. Another word for a reason is an excuse. So don't let yourself do it to yourself. Next one, find the reason. Find the reason, the root cause of why you overthink. Again, that you could call that an excuse. Here's my excuse for the overthinking. Generally speaking, it comes from your past, okay? Before the age of 7. Huge amount of reason for that. I mean, I don't have time to go into that, but there's a reason if you're a habitual overthinker, right? You probably suffer from some anxiety, probably easily overwhelmed, right? Probably a perfectionist. All these things go hand in hand and it stems from your childhood. Okay. Next one, reframe. Reframe it. Look for the positive out of it, right? What can I get from, okay, I am totally overthinking right now. What can I get from this? This is an opportunity for me to practice stopping the overthinking. Yay. Thank you. Thank you, God, universe, source, the divine, whatever, for giving me the opportunity to learn how to stop thinking, to condition my mind to not overthink. And there you go. There are the 8 highly effective strategies you can use today and every day to stop the overthinking. Okay. So I'm going to give it 1 second. If anyone has any questions or comments, feel free. Yes, I love taking off my shoes and putting them in the sand or grass. It feels good to me. Yeah, huge reason behind that one, Mark. When I first heard this, I went, what a load of, I thought it was all woo-woo. But let's be honest. There's so much magnetism and energy in the earth. And we too are made up of energy. So when you allow your feet to touch the earth, you're connecting with the earth. It's an energetic thing. And this shows they can measure this. Like, this is science. It's something that can be measured. So there's a reason why it makes you feel good. Absolutely, it does. Yeah, absolutely. For me, overthinking could be a safe place. I do it a lot, thinking back to my childhood. So you want to kind of understand why your mind keeps going back to your childhood. If you're having memories that aren't nice and you're dwelling on them, that can really affect your life in a negative way. So you need to allow yourself to deal with, unpleasantness from your childhood. It's also becoming aware, allowing yourself to become aware of the memories and emotions that we suppress or repress, because then that kind of leads our unconscious mind and subconscious mind, and then we're almost just a passenger of our unconscious mind, right? So is it a safe place? That's an interesting thought. Well, there is something definitely to people who will overthink, and they feel it gives them a sense of control, meaning they don't feel like they have a lot of control in their lives, but if they can at least control what they're thinking about, it can give them a sense of control. But again, getting to the root cause, like really going in and having a look at your childhood and releasing suppressed and repressed memories and dealing with them and setting them free, it'll change your life. You'll be a much calmer, more peaceful, happier person for sure. One of my meditation teachers said to ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Yeah. And you have found, Steve says he's found it's often not. Exactly. So it's having that conversation with yourself. It's interrupting that pattern and having that conversation with yourself. Like, is this thought helpful? No, it's not. Okay, so let's not have it. And you do that often enough, you will gain better control over your thoughts. I do this. Like, I have serious conversations with myself, which gives me a lot more control over my thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Right? So I like this. I now stop those thoughts. Yay, Anthony, to say, okay, I'll think about this at 6 p.m. for 15 minutes. Yeah. By that time I get there, the feeling of and thought, it may have worked itself out. Yeah. It no longer, because when something initially happens, it always has a stronger emotional charge. This is why reacting to something, not a good idea. So let's say Anthony and I have an argument. We have a misunderstanding. Now, the old me would have like messaged Anthony and ripped his head off right then and there, dealing out of the emotion, like strictly coming from a place of reaction. Right. So, what I always do now is I am not reacting right now. I would give myself the time. Like, if you give yourself 24 hours and you revisit it, and the emotional charge is no longer so strong, you're going to deal with the situation so much differently. Right? Like when you see people out in nature, out in the real world, freaking out about something, and you're like, "Oh my god, like your reaction is like so over the top." Why is that? Because they're reacting out of the emotion that they feel right then and there. They didn't wait until that emotion dissipated a little bit, right? So they come across as kind of freaky, like, over the top reaction kind of thing. So giving yourself time, scheduling it, I agree, Anthony. It gives it time for that emotion to dissipate. And you're training your brain. You're not going to rule my mind. You got 15 minutes at 6 p.m. to rule my mind. So shut the heck up until then, okay? I'm sad. I don't want Erin mad at me. Yeah. I'm glad we worked out our imaginary argument. Me too, Anthony. Good talk. Good talk. We're good now. Hey, Dennis. Yeah, does this serve me? Asking yourself questions, because it's amazing how often you're going to go, no, this is not serving me. Let's nip this in the bud. Let's change our thoughts, reframe it, but then change your thoughts, right? Start thinking about something else. Go learn something. Is there something you're really passionate about learning? Not learning something like, that you're not passionate about. Like, let's say I had to learn some math, right, for my job. Find something that lights you on fire to learn about. So for myself, well, I'm studying so many things at once right now. It's absolutely insane, but it's all things to deal with the mind. I'm going through many, many certifications right now, all things to do with the mind. And every time I'm working on that, learning these things, I am lit on fire. Like, it is my passion. So there are, evenings where I spend learning. It's my passion. It's like a dopamine rush for me to learn something new. When I learn something that I didn't know, it's like, oh my God. Like, it's thrilling for me to learn something I didn't know. That's something I'm really passionate about, right? Like, figuring out what lights your soul on fire and spending time doing that is absolutely necessary for, I think it is for human beings. Otherwise, you get stuck in a rut, right? And then life becomes tedious because you're not having those times of just pure passion, pure, natural dopamine rush, right? So there you go. I hope that helps. If you tend to overthink at times, that's normal. That is just normal. But if you do it habitually, then that's not good, because it probably means you're high anxiety, right? You spend a lot of time being anxious, spend a lot of time in the fight, flight, or freeze mode, which is not good, because the more time you spend there, that becomes your baseline. If you're spending more time with your sympathetic nervous system being activated, more time in the fight, flight, or freeze mode, that becomes your default mode. You've trained your mind that that is your default mode, and that is not good. This is where you get all kinds of diseases and illnesses and all of that kind of stuff. And you live in a constant state of stress and you can't think straight, right? So this is about training your brain, doing what you need to do so that you don't live in that state. Okay. It means going into your childhood. Okay. Gonna be real with you. Oh, good. I'm glad you like this. I'm glad you like this, Taria. Everything is so small on here. I have my reading glasses on and I have trouble reading it. So yeah, use these things. This is all reprogramming the way your mind works too. So it's worth the time and effort for sure. Elizabeth says, yes, I'm learning how to get out of freeze, fight, or flight mode. Yeah, not a good place to spend too much time. We need that to kick in at times. Like if you're, I don't know, you're being chased by somebody and you have to run and fight for your life. You want that kicking in because that's your adrenaline kicking in, right? Like your whole body goes into survival mode. It's amazing what our bodies and minds will do for us. Like so many physiological things happen to help you survive. Survival mode. But if you're living in that state with all those physiological things happening in your body that are only meant to happen once in a while, oh, that's not good. That is not good. It'll slow down your digestion because your digestion takes a break and shuts down when you're in that state. Oh God, so many things happen to you. You can't control your breathing, the whole bit. So anyway, that is a whole training right there. But anyway, I hope those help you. And if there's no questions or thoughts, I guess we're good. And I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you apply some of this stuff. I hope you start having conversations with the parts of you, that you want to kind of correct. Self-correction, I call it. Okay? Awesome, you guys. Go and have an amazing day. Be present. Be present in your life. Awesome. Alrighty.